Hi, we're here at EBA Day TV, and I'm talking with Martin Thomas of JP Morgan. Now, of course, we're going to talk about financial supply chains, which is what you've just come off the EBA Day panel to talk about. I thought it was pretty interesting that Enrico Caramelli from Acte Group talked about how he wants to change it to B2B, payments. So it's an interesting sort of look. I think it's almost a simpler look at the financial supply chains. But so what are corporates looking for when they implement this type of system?
Right. I think, as we just discussed, it is very clear that the ultimate objective for corporates is to free up working capital, or you might call it optimize their working capital. But what it means is reduce the working capital anyways. So in order to do that, there are a lot of individual objectives that you need to fulfill to reduce it to the minimum level that you can, or that you define for your company. So one very important objective is to increase transparency in order to be able to free up working capital. And that is a big challenge for corporates. You saw it in the discussion, as Sharon said, for most companies, there's a difference between plan and what the actual is. And you only can manage according to plan, and then you get a bad surprise with the actual, which causes you unnecessary overdraft or liquidity that you could have used better than sitting idle. The last point I would like to make is the importance of integration of various internal and external platforms and players. Unless you achieve that, you will not be able to get that visibility. So I think is that where we as banks can also play a major role. What do I mean by that? First is the setup that you have. So you obviously, if you operate on a global level, are much better off if there is ideally one or a few banks for risk aspects, if you want more.
Yeah, I mean, so how important is that global reach?
That is very important. It's becoming more important as we speak, I would almost say. And you heard from the panel that it is not only important for the large corporates, but increasingly small and medium enterprises are reaching out to these growth markets, and for that reason they need to have that global reach, banking capability.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting that both yourself and Sharon Trainer from Deutsche Bank talked about this need for partnership with banks, that even banks as large as JP Morgan might not be able to fulfill all the services and to look for partners. So I mean, what should banks be doing right now?
Right. I think as we just touched on that trend of globalization. I think that is a common topic now that trade flows are increasing global. We talked also about the investments that are now focused on these emerging markets. And I just want to give you an example where globalization has an immediate impact on what is required from banks. And that is the importance of the renminbi. There is a clear political interest to push the renminbi as a trade currency, and I'm convinced that the Chinese will be successful in promoting that. So you as a bank need to understand whether you have the ability to provide renminbi clearing yourself, or whether you need to partner with someone else to do it in order to serve your customer base. So that's what we mean with collaboration. So JP Morgan is open and pursuing collaboration and partnership very strongly. So for topics like renminbi clearing, we are obviously offering that to our FI clients. And then there is other spaces where we partner, for example, in the technology space. We think that you should focus on where you're good at, and JP Morgan is partnering for even core banking applications, current account platforms with third-party providers in order to provide one platform on a global level. So as we speak, we're just in the final rollout of a consistent current account platform across the globe, which, all is in the intention of serving our customers and actually enabling them to optimize their platforms. Another point we just discussed in the panel, and I just want to reinforce that, is the importance of standardization. Standards obviously allow you to better collaborate with various partners. So we certainly welcome any efforts on the Swift side, which makes it easier to have various players combine their offerings to a solution for the customers. Or in EMEA specifically, SEPA, that was talked about here a lot, is a good example where standardization actually helps you to achieve those goals.
Can we have an EBA day without talking about SEPA?
Well, it is an important topic. People might say, yes, there is still a lot of talk, but there is still a long way to go. Acceptance is still low, and in the end, we also need to convince the customers that it's probably better to be early on that train than to hit the wall when finally there is an end date and everyone says, oh, now I need to do it.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You're welcome.